Hello and welcome! Blender is an amazing software that can do many things. Modeling, texturing, sculpting, video editing, and more. Personally, I love using it to create miniatures and models for my games, and I even use it to create pixel art. The possibilities with Blender are endless. You can check out my devlog here. I thought it would be a great idea to share what I have learned so far with you through a tutorial series. We will learn how to use Blender efficiently and quickly, as it has many sections that may not be useful for us, so we can ignore them. If you are new to Blender, this tutorial is perfect for you. We will start with the basics of Blender and then dive deeper into the more advanced features. So let's get started on this exciting journey of learning Blender together. Installing Blender is really straightforward. Just go to www.blender.org and hit the download button to choose your platform and install it. When you open Blender for the first time, you will see a splash screen. You don't need to touch anything. Just change the shortcut from Blender to Industry Compatible. It's much better, especially if you want to follow my tutorials, because I'm using that. If you click out of this panel, it will disappear and you won't see it again when you open Blender. Don't worry if you missed this step. We can adjust the settings later. When you are done, press Save New Settings. After that, we will encounter the next splash screen, which appears every time you run Blender. By clicking outside of it, it will disappear. If you want to bring it back, simply click on the Blender icon and then the splash screen in the top left corner. I'm currently using version 3.6.1. Alright, we are ready to go now. The next step is to fix a few things. Go to Edit, Preferences. In the first tab, Interface, you can active or deactivate the splash screen. I'm going to leave it as it is. In the Add-ons tab, search for Loop and activate it. It will be helpful later on. In the Navigation tab, make sure to check Orbit Around Selection, Zoom to Mouse Position, and Invert Zoom Direction. In the Save Loop tab, make sure to set Save Versions to 0 and uncheck Autosave, because it will save rapidly and fill up your disk quickly. I prefer saving manually from time to time. If you missed the Industry Compatible option in the splash screen earlier, you can set it in the key map in the top section. I have added a few shortcuts to speed up my workflow. For example, in Separate menu, in Vertex menu, in Edge menu, and more. I will review all of these soon, so don't worry for now. I'm sharing my shortcuts in the description, and you can easily import them by going to Preferences, Key Map, Import. You can also export your own shortcuts easily. Additionally, you can change to any shortcut, such as Blender or Industry Compatible, easily here as well. Once you are done with the preferences, you can save your settings manually or automatically. It's a good idea to press the Save button just in case as well. At the bottom left, you can see the mouse options. When you hold Alt, the navigation options appear. Alt left click is for rotating the view. Alt middle mouse is for panning. Alt right mouse button is for zooming in and out. If you zoom out too much, you may lose your scene. To fix this, select one of your scene elements and press F on your keyboard. This will zoom in on that element. To see all of your scene elements, press A. For example, I have a light, a camera, and a cube. So pressing A will frame all of these in the viewport. To summarize, F is for zooming in on the selected element and A is for showing all of the elements. Instead of overwhelming you with all the menus, tabs, and bars, I will focus on the most important things for now and we will gradually learn more as we go. The main panel is the viewport where you can see everything in your 3D world. Below that is the timeline, which is used for animation. This panel has a folder system where you can add collections similar to folders and organize different elements. The most important panel is this one, that contains a lot of data and changes depending on the selected element. For example, if you select a 3D model, it will show specific options. If you select a light, it will have fewer options and a light tab. If you select a camera, it will change to camera mode and have its own options. The most important tabs that we will use a lot are the range tab for adding modifiers, the tab for adding materials, and the tab for adding textures. So remember, texture, material, modifier. Now let's see how a 3D model works in a 3D board. It is made up of vertices which are connected with edges to create a surface called a face. Some 3D packages refer to these as vertices, segments, and polygons. We can access the vertices, edges, or faces by going into Edit mode. Currently I have access to the vertices, but in the next mode I will have access to the edges, and the following mode will give me access to the faces. The shortcut keys are 1 for vertex, 2 for edge, and 3 for face. Pressing 4 will take you back to object mode, where you won't have access to the vertices, edges, or faces anymore. You can use the buttons up here to switch between different modes. For now, we will use object mode and edit mode. When we are in edit mode for a selected object, we won't have access to the other objects anymore. However, if we select 2 or more objects, we will have access to all of them in edit mode. You might think these 3D models are solid, but in reality, they are hollow. To test this, we can jump into edit mode by pressing 3 for face mode, selecting one of the faces, pressing delete, and then faces. As you can see, there is nothing inside, it is hollow. This is true for all 3D models in games, animations, renders, architecture, and so on. We can control our 3D board and objects by using gizmos, which are located on the left side. It is enough to select an object and related gizmo will appear. We can move it in different axes, which are X in red, Y in green, and Z in blue. However, I cannot see the Z axis in my scene. I can rotate, I can scale it up and down, and move between 2 axes simultaneously, such as Z and Y. If I want to rotate freely in all directions, I can use the white circle. For scaling, I can scale it in one direction, 2 axes at the same time, or all directions using the white circle. The shortcuts for gizmos are W for move, E for rotate, and R for scale. For an object, there are different modes, such as object mode, edit mode, sculpt mode, vertex paint, weight paint, and texture paint, which can be found in the upper left side. For now, we will only review edit mode. As soon as I jump into edit mode, the left bar will change and I will have more options. Don't worry, we will learn about the other modes along the way. I won't input down view now. I can select the vertex, edge, or face and move, rotate, or scale them with my gizmos to create new objects. Okay, let's take a look at these tools. I'm going to explain the most important ones. The first tool is extrude. It can extrude another polygon for me. To use it, I just need to select the polygon or face and get the plus sign handle and drag it out. I can drag in, but it's not recommended, as it can create a bad model. This might be handy in some cases, but we need to fix the model later. It has some subtools which I can access by holding the tool. For example, this one can extrude 2 polygons at the same time, which the first tool cannot do. Let's try the first tool. It's not good, but the second one can extrude along normals. What is normal? The simple and quick definition of a normal is a line or vector that is perpendicular to a surface or plane. Simply, it shows the polygon side. This tool can also extrude polygons individually, but it makes faces inside, which is not ideal. The next tool is Inset. Just select the polygon and drag inside of the white circle to make an inset. It's really handy because I can use it with other tools to make interesting shapes. The next tool is Bevel. It works with edges. I can select them and bevel them. It can work with the face as well, but the main use is for edges. It can even work in vertex mode, and it's a great tool to round the edges. The next tool is Loop Cut. As the name suggests, it makes a loop for me. By pressing Alt and X, I can make my model transparent. Press Alt and X again to bring it back to normal. As you can see, it makes a loop of edges. The next tool is Knife. It's like cutting a polygon by dragging and dropping a shape on it. It turns a big polygon into a smaller ones. I'm not gonna explain polybuild here. Its use is to make a low poly model from a high poly model. We will learn about this later. It's a very important tool and needs its own tutorial. The next tool is Edge Slide. It's handy in some cases where we have a slope. For example, if I want to move these vertices by hand, I might mess up my shape. But with this tool, I can slide it easily. It has two options, Edge Slide or Vertex Slide. Alright, that's enough for part 1. I suggest watching the video several times and following along so you can learn it well. There's still a lot to cover, which we will learn about in the next part. I spend a lot of time making these tutorials, so if you found them useful, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching, see you in the next part.